Hi guys, welcome to Coffee with Megan, where I interview people in the fashion industry who are using their platform for good. Today I'm going to talk to Dali. She is awesome, such an inspiration to me. She's 19 years old and I met her through her streetwear brand called Nalu, where the whole brand was created to help kids who wouldn't otherwise be able to get an education in India and around the world. Actually, they've opened it up, and she'll tell you all about it in this, and she gives some amazing tips as to how to consciously create a really awesome brand and really they've really thought out and learned about every part of the business as to how to make it the best it can possibly be. So yeah, take a watch and learn some things along the way. Hey Dali.
Hello.
Tell us where you are. All of us are obviously in quarantine right now or hanging out in different cities. Tell us where you are right now.
I'm currently in Singapore, and we actually haven't been on lockdown for such a long time compared to the rest of the world. I think, we're still in our first week, and most of the world has been in quarantine for like 3 weeks or a month now, I think. So we only just recently got quarantined, but in Singapore.
Nice. Well, you're lucky. Yeah, we've been quarantined here for, I think it's coming up to, well, we've quarantined ourselves for about a month now, me and my boyfriend in South Africa. It's definitely strict, but we will get through it.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about who is Dali. Where did you grow up? How old are you? And all of that.
Cool. Well, right now I am 19 years old. Oh my goodness. 19. And I'm half Dutch, half Australian, but I grew up in Bali in Indonesia. And more about me and what I do is my brother and I started a clothing company called Nalu. And for every 4 products that we sell, we give a school uniform to a child who needs one in India. And since we started 5 years ago already, we've given over 5 million days of school to girls and boys all over the world. And kind of how this came about quickly, so you can understand more about it, is that we used to live in India when I was younger. So around 11, 12, 13, we were going to India every single summer. And that's because my parents are both chiropractors and they were volunteering as chiropractors in the local schools. And Finn and I was 12 at the time. Finn was only 9, I'm pretty sure. We created friends with the children in the playgrounds. And, we ate the local food, learned the local dances. It was so much fun. They were so welcoming and always so kind to us. And we started loving it so much that we wanted to go back to India every single year. So Finn and I were like, Mom, Dad, can we please go back? Like, we love it so much, right? We want to see our friends. And my parents were kind of like, yeah, let's do it. So every single year we went back to India, and every single year, like, our connections grew stronger, right? And it was such a beautiful experience. But at a certain time, of course, everyone grows up a little bit, and I turned 13 and so did all my friends. And when I went back to India to go see them again, a lot of them weren't at school anymore. So I started asking the teachers, like, where are my friends? Are they at some sort of school, like, go away? Like, are they, I don't know, visiting a museum or something, like, are they doing something? But then they were like, no, like, first of all, there's no museums around here. And like, they can't afford to pay for a school uniform anymore. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean they can't afford to pay for a school uniform? And then they told me that in this area, the government only pays for school fees and school uniforms up until they're 12 years old. But after 12, they stop completely with the school uniform contribution, which causes these enormous school dropout levels, especially in these poor communities, because if you can't pay for a school uniform, you're not allowed to go to school. And without a school uniform, you're not allowed to enter into school, right? And I was like, wait, just because they can't afford to pay for a $10 school uniform, which, as a girl growing up in the West was, in my head, so affordable for me. I couldn't imagine that something so simple like a school uniform could, like, change someone's life so drastically, right? Like, education is such a crucial part of, first of all, breaking the poverty cycle and, leveling yourself and, basically just give yourself a chance. And they don't get a chance because they're not allowed to go to school. So that's when my brother and I were like, this is crazy. We are going to ask money from all of our friends and family so we can pay for their school uniforms. First, it was just to pay for our friends' school uniforms. And then we were like, wait, we need to make sure that the years below them also get school uniforms, right?
Yeah.
And then at a certain time, we've asked all of our friends and family for money, and we couldn't really ask more because nobody really had more to give. You know, there's only a certain amount of times you can ask your grandma for $10, right? And so we were like, we have to come up with something financially sustainable. And that's when we started to design and sell t-shirts so that we could pay for their school uniforms with the profits. And that's how Nalu started.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So
that's kind of it.
Yeah, you're created an amazing streetwear brand, which I've seen the designs get better and better each time. And I love the saying you have for Nalu, which is let the way you live be the way you give. And I think that's an important motto. And I love it. And it's so awesome. So you and your brother, you started at 10 and 13, right? When you first started?
Yeah, 10 and 13. I mean, we've had incredible support from, first of all, our parents, who have never stopped supporting us. They, like, my dad was always there to drive us to and from clothing factories, and like he always protected us from a lot of the legal things that at that age we had no idea what was going on, you know. So definitely a lot of our like giving is thanks to my parents, and the people that have supported us along the way, like you, that, you know, have stepped up.
Yeah, we met in New York and on one of your shoots, and then I was so lucky to be a part of coming on one of your giving trips. And why did you find it important to start opening up your giving trips to other people? Like, why was that an important thing for you guys to do, to bring people along to India?
So I think that the first 3 giving trips, we didn't bring anyone. It was just me and my family.
Wait, well, sorry, I was just thinking, let's go back. Let's explain what a giving trip is. So what is the giving
trip? Let's do that. So basically, throughout the whole entire year, we work as hard as possible to sell as many products or to get as many donations as possible so that we could, you know, give school uniforms. And then at the end of the year, we bring a group of people, and throughout the whole year, the seamstresses who are making the school uniforms are busy all year round, you know, making the uniforms. And then the giving trip is it's usually a week long, where we go to all the individual schools all together and give the school uniforms to the children who otherwise must leave school. So that's the giving trip.
Yeah, so you opened it up for the past 2 years now. I think you do it in one in Indonesia and one in India, and you bring people along who want to come. And why was that important for you? Was it to open up to other people and see what's happening?
I think personally, I realized the insane effect it had on my life to be able to experience something like that at such a young age. It made me very aware of a lot of things that were happening in the world at a really young age, and it made me very motivated to continue working on things and continue doing things for other people constantly. So these giving trips were my constant drive to continue working harder so I could give more. And then a lot of other people started wanting to help and wanting to be part of this movement and to be part of, you know, standing up for education and providing that opportunity for other people. But it was it's almost like difficult to actually want to help if you haven't experienced it yourself, right? Like it's like so deeply instilled in me now. So I wanted to open that up to the people that were willing to be part of it. And I'm so happy that we did, because it allowed, you know, for so many incredible trips and little droplets of how you call, like, little ripple effects in different people that are all doing incredible things now because they've experienced some part of you know, these giving trips.
Yeah, I was just telling you before we started recording, Nalu and the trip to India really sparked something in my life to wanting to just do things. And also you just inspired me to actually take action and do things, because I think that can be scary for people who might have ideas, but they just don't feel like they could ever make it happen. And what advice would you give to people? Like, you guys started so young. If you have an idea, like, how do you really make it happen? What advice would you give to people for that?
I think you're totally right in saying that it's scary. You know, it's scary to start something and to, if you're not even sure like what you stand for, what you believe in, and still wanting to do something, like it's kind of like you can be frozen almost, right? And not know where to start or how to do it. And I think the like advantage that I had was that I had no time to think, right? It was like, my friends need uniforms. Like, what am I going to do? So that was definitely like something that I couldn't even comprehend, that I was creating a company or anything. Like it was very like, this is a need and this is what I have to do. So I think that my first like tip or like piece of advice is to find something that you're truly, truly, truly passionate about, because I could talk to you all day about education and school uniforms and clothing and how that all combines and, all the things I love to do, but I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about like cooking, for example. So like finding something that you're actually really passionate about is, I think, the first step. And then being confident in yourself. And I think that it's easy to say and sometimes difficult to find, but you will never know unless you try, right? These are all pretty, I guess, cliche things to say, but they all make a lot of sense, and you just got to keep hearing them until you do it. So I'm going to tell you anyway.
I think that's so awesome. And I know a passion of yours was keeping the women in the village. So one of the circles you have is a circle of women. I know that's one of the sayings you have of how you have given women in the village jobs, and just explain that a little bit for us.
Yeah. Oh my God. Actually, this past year when we went back to them was incredible. But first of all, okay. So basically how the circle of women started is that we had to, of course, make school uniforms to give to the schools. And we were looking at factories to make the school uniforms in. And the first factory we found, they were making the school uniforms for $1 per school uniform, which we were like, that is incredible. We could be making so many school uniforms. But then the very kids that we were trying to keep in school were the ones working in those factories. And we were like, so that wasn't a possibility, right? And then we found a local woman who knew how to make school uniforms. And she said that she was able to make the school uniforms for us because she was unemployed. And then we were like, yeah, but we need more than one person to make school uniforms, because we're going to need a lot more. And then she was like, you know what? Why don't I teach all the other women in the village who don't have a job to sew? And then we can be making school uniforms all year round for you. And so that is what we did together. And now these 30 local women are making school uniforms all year round who were all unemployed before. And it's like, this is like such an unexpected outcome that came out of this experience, because they're so grateful. And we went back this year, and like some of them cried and were like, we've never actually like made our own income before. It's like, it's usually our husbands who are making this money. And now we are making more than our husbands are. And so it's just very empowering for them to be able to have these jobs.
No, it's incredible. I remember visiting one of the factory when we went to India, meeting the women.
Yeah.
It was a very emotional experience, and it just, I love that you guys really think about every impact you're making in all the different ways. I know it was important to you for where you make your clothing to have a clean factory in India as well. So is that's where the Nalu t-shirts and stuff are made as well? Is that right?
Did we go there together to the organic clothing factory?
We did. We did. Yes.
We did.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Okay.
What's important to you? What does clean mean to you in the factory? Like, what is it that goes into having a factory that you count as cleaner than others? What is the part?
I think there's a lot of different layers to making sustainable and ethical clothes. So there's, of course, like the sustainability side, which includes using less water to create your products, or like being efficient with that, or like the actual material that you're using to create the clothes. Like, is there cotton organic? Is it cotton? Is it not cotton? Like, what material are you actually using? So then there's obviously that side, like how much electricity you're using. Like the factory that we're using uses wind power to power all of their things that need power. So there's that side. And that is very important, because it's like, the toxins in the earth and everything are hugely, like, the earth is so affected by the fashion industry. I think it's the third largest contributor to like global warming currently, which is insane. So that is a very important part. And then the second part that I include in making sure that a factory is clean or not is how they treat their employees.
Yeah.
So making sure that they have, fair wage. And I think like pregnancy leave is very important. Sick leave, like paid sick leave, is also very important. And that they have a comfortable working environment. It's all very important. So making sure that those standards are all met. And there's many different like certifications that a factory can have to make sure that, they are being, treating their employees right.
I think
So
that's
those two
so
things.
awesome. So
Yeah.
awesome you guys have done that. And I know you, like, part of your business was like learning with mistakes along the way, because at first you weren't making, like all of us, learning along the way, you weren't making your t-shirts and stuff there, right? You was in LA
No,
days? Yeah.
no. I mean, I think that is also an important part of remembering when you start a business, is that you are going to do things that you maybe didn't want to do, and then learn from them and then move forward. Like, honestly, when I started producing clothes, I was only 13, and I actually didn't know that it was harming the earth yet.
Yeah.
And then, once I got really involved in clothing and, everything around that, I realized, or I found out, the massive impact that clothing has on the world. So that's when I started learning. And the moment I knew is when I took action, right? So, if you dive into a project and you have no idea what you're doing, at least you're going to be learning more, because you're going to be diving into it.
Exactly. Yeah, this is what this is all about for me, is learning. Is there any brands out there that you see that you're just like, you admire how they do it, you feel like they're doing it right? Any small brands or anything you can think of?
Yeah, I mean, I think that recently, in the past, maybe 2 years, a lot of different brands have popped up.
Yeah.
And like, of course, the first big one that I personally know is Reformation. And I think that most of like people in our community, like women, I guess, know about this brand, especially it's like huge in the fashion industry right now and known for sustainability. But that's like one of the bigger ones. And I think that there have been like many other ones that are like, coming out of that. And one of them is like the Girlfriend Collective. I actually just learned about these, but they're really cool because it's like activewear, right? And they're super cool because they like reuse their fabrics. So basically it's like, like factory offcuts or just reused fabrics from, like, they create other fabrics from the fabrics, right? Which is super cool. And then Pact. So Pact is also kind of similar. I don't know if you know about them.
I don't.
No, it's organic. It's COT certified, which is also what our factory in India is, COT certified. It's a really great certification. It's just basically organic, but just like in the food industry, or the word organic can sometimes be skewed, but the COT certification is really great. So Pact is COT certified and pays their employees really well.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, I'm a big supporter of all these beautiful, sustainable companies. But I think that for me personally, like, I'm more big on like doing clothes swaps with your friends, or going to like little vintage stores and buying clothes there, or like just secondhand clothes, right? Just so you can support your local community or your friends. So that is more what I do, I guess.
Yeah, same. That's a lot of what, especially recently, I've just really taken on board how much we don't need to bring new things into the world, and we can find so much at the vintage stores.
There's so much out there. I actually like want to do something with like just selling reused clothes instead of making new collections all the time. So that
even
is something that I want to
reuse clothes and putting a little bit of the Nalu spin on it with your designs. And
yeah, I was thinking that. Like, there's so many secondhand clothing stores in Bali, and that's where my family lives, right? So I visit a lot, and we can easily like make super small alterations with like cutting off certain things or sticking them around, or even just like, I don't know, adding anything. And I think it'll be really, really cool. So I want to work on that maybe near the end of the year when everything settles down.
When we can get going again. And when we get going again, something you have been developing with your brother was the Nyla Academy, which I thought was really awesome. And that was to really is similar to this, is really helping people find a voice and find a way and teach them how they can do good things in the
Yeah.
world. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about Nalu Academy.
I think that more people, like a lot of people my age or just a little bit younger than me, like 16, 17, 18, were asking me, how can I be part of Nalu? And I was like, this is so great. Like other people my age, or when I started, even like 13-year-olds were asking me, how can I, help? And I was a little bit taken back by it because I didn't know where to start on how to start delegating work or like how to get them involved. And then my dad actually helped me with this to like, put everything that I've learned into a series of videos and books that I've read, and basically like everything that I've learned along the way as we've worked on Nalu for the past few years, and pass it along to other, young people who want to do something. And then they can actually do Nalu presentations in their schools or in their parents' like workplaces or in cafes or bookstores or wherever they want to, right? Basically what I did when I started Nalu. And that's how we started the Nalu Academy.
That's awesome.
And
What tips is it that you really think you could give like a young person? Is one of the parts was like learning how to use social media correctly, wasn't it? And then and teaching you how to speak. I think I saw that a lot on the India trip. Some of the younger people who came on the Indian trip really learned from you and were inspired and learned how to talk and got more confident throughout the trip. And I think that's an awesome part of it, isn't it? Just finding your voice.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think, the Nalu Academy has many different layers to it. There is, of course, the, being inspired and making sure that this is actually what you want to do. And then there's the more practical parts of it, where it's like learning how to use social media, or like you said, like learning how to do a presentation. And it was really cool because all the Nalu Academy students are like learning how to do the Nalu presentation, and give it their own twist, but basically just the normal guidelines of like the story and what it is about. And they show me their presentations that they've done at schools, or like I said, like in libraries, and it's so great to see them evolve over time, because they keep getting better and more confident. And the more confident that you can get at a younger age, I think it's great, because it allows for more great work to be done.
And
so,
people put their voices in the right way and feel confident to do that. I love it. I'm just seeing if there was anything else I wanted to ask you about. I really wanted to ask you, so what are the impacts you've seen from your giving trips? So you've seen women, everyone stay in school longer, right? Let's hear some impacts you've seen.
Yeah. Okay. So there's been some incredible outcomes over the past few years that we've seen since we've been able to collect data. And the first year that we came back, in the pilot school, enrollment had doubled actually, because all the kids from around the school in the area, in the local villages, started hearing that they could go back to school for free. And so the year that we came back, like there was like a few hundred more kids at the school, like waiting to receive their uniform. And we were like, what? Like, they had to learn outside because I didn't have enough buildings to teach all the kids in. And then that got so much traction from Mumbai, which was like 3 hours outside of the local village, that other philanthropists actually came in and built buildings for these students that didn't have buildings to learn in. And so like that was like a ripple effect that we didn't even have anything to do with, which was incredible. And then not only that, but of course, like grades have increased because they feel like they're part of something bigger and something special, and they like realize that they can actually finish their education, so they are more involved and more passionate about doing better in school. So grades increased by an average of 23%, which is really, really big. So that improves their chances of getting into a better university. It does so much, right? So grades improved, and last but not least, teenage pregnancy in the villages surrounding the schools has been trending downwards because girls are staying in school longer. So this means that Nalu is actually working, which is awesome.
I love everything about Nalu. I just really think throughout learning, as you've gone along, as you said, it's been really organic growth, but you've learned every aspect as to how to make the company and the brand the best you can possibly do in every aspect, and I think it's awesome. That's why I was so excited to interview you, Dali.
thank you so much for including me in your project.
Thank you for
And
being part of it. It was nice to see you again.
thank you so much. Bye.